guys, Camilla here and welcome to my new card making video. To start with, I just would like to apologize for my long absence. I have been going through some tough times and I actually had to move back to Poland, but things are starting to look up now and I'm going back to my card making. I really missed it, and so I hope you will enjoy this new card making video. And so let's get started on the card. I'm creating a panel using distress inks first. I'm going to be using Twisted Citron, Salty Ocean, Mermaid Lagoon, and a little bit of Cracked Pistachio. And so I'm blending the inks. I'm using my round mini blending tool. It's really simple. To create this card, I used just a Nina Solar White, a smooth white cardstock. And as long as you go back and forth applying a very small amount of ink at a time, then you can get a nice smooth blend. And just like with everything, it's a matter of practice. So if you want to achieve a really nice smooth blend, try to do it as often as you can, as much as you can. I used to get these blotches of round circles on my blended backgrounds, but with time I realized that I have to just apply less ink, and it turned out just fine. So now I'm gonna create this panel. I want it to be sparkly, like shiny. And so as you can see, I have some perfect pearls here, and I'm using the blue and a green one, and I'm spreading it around all over my panel with a brush. In the end, I think it doesn't really matter what color of these perfect pearls you're using, because it doesn't really show that much. So you can use just the white one, and it's just gonna give you the same effect. And as you can see, I used the tissue and I created some smudges, so I went over it with a paintbrush once again. It's a dry one, by the way. And now I'm gonna use this beautiful embossing folder that I have. It was added to one of the crafty magazines. I'm gonna try to find it, which one it was. And look at that. I mean, it is just gorgeous. How beautiful is that? So I've created the whole big panel. This is 4 1/4 to 5 1/2 inches. And then I realized that I wanted a square card, so I trimmed it down. I'm using the Tim Holtz trimmer here. I really love it. It's so smooth when it cuts, and it's very precise, so I'm very happy with it. And if you would like to see a quick review, I'll put the link in the description down below. And here I just wanted to show you how the panel looks like at the back. It's just as gorgeous with all the nice embossed lines. And here it is from the front, really shiny and perfect. I love the color combination. And at this point I decided I'm gonna die cut the center of this flower using a circle die I had. And I'm gonna pop at the front of the card and add a sentiment. So first I thought that maybe I will be using this one of the sentiments from the Simon Says stamp set. And by the way, the card I'm making is for my friend Carla. It's a kind of a celebration for the birth of her son Julian. So at this point I started forming my stamp how I wanted it. I used the VersaFine Black Onyx ink to stamp it. I had a little help from my son Sammy. You will see his hand appearing right here. I stamped the image, the sentiment, and then I wanted to heat emboss it using clear embossing powder. That's when I realized that at some point in the past I must have mixed my embossing powders, because the sentiment, instead of coming out clear, came out white. So I had to come up with a new idea for the sentiment. As you can see, I had big help, and so that was no problem. And here you can see I'm adding the powder, and at this point I should have been kind of warned that it's not clear enough, the powder I used, and that's when I'm like, wait a minute. And this is how bad it came out. So at this point I was like, oh no, I have to use something else. So this was my panel. I used a craft cardstock for the card base, and I popped it up on some foam tape. And And then I decided to create a big bold sentiment across the whole panel. And for the sentiment, I'll be using this word congratulations from the older Hero Arts stamp set, I think. And I'll be stamping it on a vellum using some Versamark ink. And then I'm going to heat emboss it using Wow Silver embossing powder. I'm using my static tool here to add some powder to prep the base, which is the vellum, so that nothing else sticks to the vellum apart from the area where I stamped the sentiment. And now I'm going to use the silver embossing powder, and it's going to cover the whole sentiment nicely, and I'm going to melt it using my heat tool. And this is how it looks like after it's been finished. It's really beautiful and shiny. And then I fussy cut it using my crafty scissors, and I'm gonna stick it across my front panel. I'm gonna use some clear glue. At this point I think I was using the crystal glaze from Tonic, and this is the point I realized that I wanted a hole in the front panel, so I ran my whole card through the my big shot, and I cut the circle in the center. The little white spot you see on the right was because I adhered the sentiment, and then I came up with the idea of a hole. So I was using this Lawn Fawn glue, which is really fantastic for little areas, and even for gluing in general. It's really good glue. And so now I'm adding my sentiment, and I really like how when you open the card, it's just hovering over that hole in the middle. And that was the card for today. I hope you enjoyed this design. I had lots of fun creating it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon for a new card making tutorial. Have a wonderful day. Bye!